again, everybody. We just had a little technical hiccup, but we're back. Everything should be fine now. I'm just going to run from the top and let you all know that we're here to talk about how to grow your Instagram following for small businesses. And we have Rose and Thomas Lindy here from Bittersweet Design Boutique. And we're kind of excited to have you guys both back in the Oklahoma City market and here today, husband and wife team. And maybe you just kind of tell us again what you do.
Sure. I'm Rose, this is Thomas, and we run Bittersweet Design Boutique, which is an online storefront for creatives and photographers so they can easily grow their businesses really affordably. We sell digital templates that are fully customizable in Photoshop.
That's good. It's even better the second time. And you guys are the design and the kind of social media side, so we'll be hearing both of those perspectives as we go. And today we have 8 different Tailwind members who I looked at the data. I love crawling through our data, and I pulled out these eight different folks from different categories, or really kind of different sort of industries and businesses, different types of businesses, and all of these different accounts, from bloggers to e-commerce stores to publishers to product marketers to folks who are in food to travel websites, all different types. They all have one thing in common, which is they have grown their following massively in the last 3 months on Instagram. We also have, local businesses. We have, small business professionals. We have independent consultants. Really, we're running the gamut today. And I don't know about you guys, but I found it fascinating looking at these high growth accounts and looking at the ways that they do it. And I can't wait to get stuck in and talk about it.
Yeah, we're really excited.
So before we do that, though, a couple of points of business. We just launched the blog post, so if you want to go and check that out, we'll share that on the feed. You can kind of look at the things that we're going to be talking about and see those accounts, link through to those accounts yourselves. Also, you should all know that we just last week launched Tailwind for Instagram. It's the Instagram version of our Pinterest product. We've reached 100,000 members with Tailwind for Pinterest, and we hope that we can reach just as many and help make just as many businesses successful on Instagram with Tailwind for Instagram. So check that out at tailwindapp.com. And so, without further ado, we'll kind of leap right into the first account, which is Thimblepress. These guys, their marketing, from my perspective, is tight. They sell a bunch of e-commerce products, a lot of sort of things like this, the sort of things you'd find in one of those boutiques on like a main street in America somewhere, or like in a fashionable district of New York or something.
Yeah, or in an Urban Outfitters is what I think of.
Right.
The party section of Urban Outfitters.
And they also have some cool, unique products like this. One that they're pushing pretty hard is this confetti thing, which like pops up and confetti goes everywhere.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why we think these guys might be growing. What's the success? What do you guys think?
I noticed right off the bat when you're scrolling through their feed, you can tell that everyone that is pictured in their feed, they're really excited. They're not just showing the products, but they're showing people's expressions after using the products. So you see kids, you see adults, you see dogs even pictured throughout their feed that, have these confetti bombs that have been thrown all over them. And the colors are really bright and consistent. You see a lot of pink, a lot of bright reds and orange. You can tell right away that these people are celebrating something, that they're having a good time.
That's tying it all together, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like they're in the market to party. So
I have a question for you on this from a designer's perspective.
Yes.
How does somebody use so many different colors and create such a feeling of life and yet remain consistent on brand? How are they doing this? I don't really understand. I couldn't do that.
Well, for them especially, it looks like they're using every color of the rainbow, which is completely fine. A lot of businesses will stick to 1 or 2 colors, but obviously in their target, their targeted market, they're celebrating. Even the confetti itself, their products are really colorful, so they're staying true to their brand by showing a lot of different colors, but they're consistent with the use of all of the colors across the board. I think that, if they were to post several black and white photos and had, more muted images for throughout the feed, and then they try to sprinkle in some of these bright colors, it wouldn't be as consistent. But you see almost every single image shows, pops of these bright oranges and greens, and
Right.
the more consistency that you can create, I think the more trust that you build within your followers.
What do you think, Thomas? Did you pull anything out?
Yeah, well, when you look into the actual posts itself, you can tell that they've done a good job at researching their hashtags that are geared more towards the creative side, and you're attracting that type of crowd. You're trying to attract the creative side of the industry in general, and I think that with the cross promotion, I noticed that there was some cross promotion with was it the Speakeasy wines, I think, and there was the champagne bottle down when you go down, and it's laid throughout the feed, so that cross collaboration builds enables a business to attract a different following.
Okay, yeah. So let's take a look at this post. I think it's oh, there it goes. I think it's pretty interesting the way they've done this, right? Because it's a really good match for their brand. They're all about celebration,
Right.
and then, like wines and champagnes. And I guess what they've done, I couldn't quite figure it out, is they printed the label. They figured out the label, maybe.
Right.
They designed that, but they're really pushing it both here and then the other guys.
They're selling it.
The other wine place, Speak Wines, they're pushing it too, and it's a really nice way to kind of work with another related brand and grow followings, because you're basically you're reaching through to their audience, and in return you're kind of sharing your audience with them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to double your audience because both businesses are promoting each other. So as long as you're able to find other brands that, they're not your competitors, they're people that will build up, your own following, and they, obviously the champagne industry, that goes along perfectly with what they're trying to promote. They're celebrating. I think that works really well for them. Yeah.
So another thing that I noticed is if you scroll down there on that page for me, Melissa, they do a similar. Oh, actually, not this one. This is Speak Wines. Just not quite as strong, is it, on the branding there? If you scroll down and keep going. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at that feminine post there, and click that. So I think that they're doing here that's really interesting for growing your followers is going into Monday like feminine, right, with the glasses. I think you can buy both of those things from their website.
Right.
Tag your bestest bestie. So they're basically asking people to tag their friends, right? Which is a very straight ask, like. I know that you're a fan of us. You know people who will like this, and it's very us. You can buy these products, bring them to us. It's
they're
clever
creating
marketing.
a call to action. They're telling people exactly what they want them to do. So it takes the guessing game out of, what am I supposed to do with this feed? Do I just like it? Do I leave a comment? They're telling you specifically, hey, if you like this picture, if you like what we're doing, tell a friend about us. They might be interested in us as well.
And it's so specific. That's one of the things I love about it, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you like this, then you almost can't, by definition, you almost are going to like them.
Oh, for sure. I think they've done a great job at targeting their niche.
They really have, yeah. Okay, so this account grew by, I think it was about 13% in the last 3 months, which is our slowest growing account that we're going to see today. And they're going to get increasingly more rapid growth. However, on the other side of that, these guys have nearly 250,000 followers. So at that size, it's really hard to keep packing on followers because you lose followers too, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's turnover, but also, anyway, they're doing a great job, basically, and they're really pushing.
All right, so we have a few questions.
Questions, all right. I like this.
First one comes from Edit, and it's how many hashtags is too much, and how do you feel about posting the hashtags within the caption or in the comment? We were talking about this just earlier.
We were, Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
All right, so, I mean, you hear different schools of thought that 15 or is a good amount, or might be pushing it to too many, but I mean, going with 30, if you're trying to attract new followers and you're trying to get in front of people that may not have heard of you otherwise, I think you can't go wrong with just filling it up with as many hashtags as you can.
And the 30 is the limit, right?
30 is the limit, and just varying the different hashtags and finding the ones that work for you and attracting new followers. There's some that have millions of posts, and then there's some that have, you know, a few hundred posts. So just finding that right balance and mix of hashtags, I think.
So one of the things that I'm always curious about, and not good at, honestly, is how do you do that hashtag discovery? How do you find those hashtags that work? How have you guys gone about that?
I've actually looked at the search bar on Instagram as its own search engine. So I'm trying to think of the different types of products or different types of niche industries that people would potentially look for as a customer, from the customer perspective, and think about it that way as it was its own search engine. So if you type in, if you sell leather wallets, you can type in craftsmanship, USA made, if you produce in the US, you know, things that,
like leather
that
goods.
relate, leather goods, leather wallets, leather belts, leather, you know, anything that goes along with that niche that would potentially be something that someone would search for that are related to your business.
What about that Goldilocks thing? Like, how big is too big? You know, when is it just right?
I think you just have to play around and see. It just depends on if you're trying to attract a broad audience and you actually can provide products for that broad audience, or if it's something localized. Like if you're a local restaurant, you wouldn't post things that would be
like hashtag food,
hashtag foodie, hashtag.
Right, that's too broad. You're not talking to
and you're going way too far.
You might go like hashtag your district, like hashtag
OKC restaurants, hashtag OKC dining,
hashtag Western District, or
right.
Yeah, you could even use something like Google Webmaster Tools to search for specific words and terms that people are searching for within your industry. So it's not necessarily on Instagram, but I think you can translate those to your social media platforms as well, and make a list of all the different terms that are related to your product or your service, and it'll tell you exactly how many hits each of those searches get. So I think that's a valuable tool that people can use.
And as far as the question goes, for whether it's in the composting in the comment or in the caption, I stick with the caption, the first caption. I don't know, I guess it's just a habit, but making sure that you post that comment immediately, because if you're going with a broad hashtag, it is time based. So if it's a post that, or if it's a hashtag that gets millions of posts, it's going to be buried probably within 15 to 30 seconds sometimes.
So here we're really talking about, do you put it in the comment, in the actual description where it's going to kind of be cluttered, or do you post it as the first comment, which Instagram allows, and then it'll give your post the benefit of those hashtags. And you're suggesting that, and I've heard different schools of thought that actually maybe posts perform better when it's in the description. We haven't done any dug any data out on that yet, but it would be an interesting one.
It would be.
Okay.
So we have a bunch more questions, but we have a lot to get through. So
keep the questions coming, everybody. We love them. And go ahead and share your Instagram profile if you want to kind of build that sense of community here amongst the Tailwind family. Go explore each other and kind of like each other's stuff and just get to know each other. Yeah.
All right. So up next is a local retail fashion business called Bella Ella Boutique, and they grew by 17%.
Which is no mean feat with 24,000 followers and being a local business. They have 7 locations, and that now they actually are an online store as well. So the whole Instagram thing makes even more sense for them and is making more and more sense for them. But I will say that in our data set, maybe it's because because of our data set, but we weren't seeing a ton of high growth local businesses. But I think this is maybe the best example that we had of one. Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
From a visual standpoint, immediately you notice that they use the same 1 or 2 models throughout their feed, which I think makes it really easy for people to be able to compare their products because they're not focusing on all of these different faces or different hairstyles. I mean, as a female, I'm looking at her like, oh, she's cute, like I like her hair, I like this, but the main focus is on the actual clothing. So I think that's something really neat that they've done is by selecting the same 1 or 2 models, it brings more importance to the clothing, which is what they're trying to sell. The backgrounds.
I had a thought about that, right?
Yeah.
I think that they post 4 times a day.
Wow.
3 to 4 times a day.
Mhm.
Okay, so they've done an amazing job of basically creating an engine here, and
Right.
you can post up to 4 times a day with no decrease in engagement. Generally, I've seen numbers, but I really like the idea of using the same model again and again and again, because I think if you follow these folks and you see 4 of these posts a day, you're going to get to the point where you almost recognize it. It's almost like looking at a friend.
Yeah.
And it's arresting, or a celebrity. You know, it's arresting. Oh, there she is. Like, what's she up to? So I think that's a really clever move.
Yeah, I think that she's just as much a part of their branding as their actual products are.
Right.
So I think that's important. You know, even if you're choosing to share pictures of other people that are using your product, you want to make sure that everything is consistent. They're using the same background in
Right.
a lot of the pictures. Even her positioning is pretty similar. So you'll notice that, you know, her head might be cut off in some of those
Right.
pictures, but she's usually within the same space. You know, she's at the same angle. They're using text overlays to kind of break up the feed, so it's not just the same model that you see over and over again. We see some text overlays. We see some fun fonts that they're using throughout the feed. So I think that's a good way to kind of break things up a little bit.
Here's another cool thing I noticed about those backgrounds. If you scroll down there, Melissa, they have about 50 photographs of her against that white background, and then we start moving into this fall. One of the things I love that they've done is it's so efficient. Is they've gone somewhere and taken hundreds of photos of the same model in just every outfit for that season. And it's a seasonally appropriate background, right? It's
Yeah.
white for Christmas and winter, or it's it's leaves for
that's
that
a
kind
good
of
point. I
fall
didn't even think of
season.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and think about the efficiency of that, right? One photographer for a half-day shoot. That's really not that expensive when you think about the hundreds of photographs and the weeks worth of content that they're creating here and popping out. I think they're doing very clever work here.
Yeah, and she almost always has a smile on her face, so she looks happy. She's excited to be wearing her cute new clothes, and I think they've also done a good job as the last feed. They've really discovered their niche market. They know who it is that will be buying these clothes. You know, I would say they're female. They're probably in their 20s or 30s. And I actually, even looking through their feed, I went to their website and I've added some things to my car. I was like, oh, this is really cute.
I won't check out.
And it's affordable too. That was the nice thing about it. It's affordable clothing, so
We're notorious for abandoned checkouts.
Right. Well, you're like tens
don't
of
tell
thousands of
people
dollars
that.
richer,
But
probably.
one of the things I noticed was the enter to wins, all the giveaways that they do, and I could almost guarantee that every one of those giveaways are their number 1 engaged posts.
Yep.
Or number 1 through 10, or however many giveaways that they've had, because that's definitely one of our
Interesting
ways to-
snippet here, right? For Tailwind, last time we did this, we talked about the way to get the most comments, and giveaways were like 9 out of 10 of the most commented on posts for Tailwind members in any month are giveaways. They just work really well.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it just depends on how much you're willing to give away. A lot of times a giveaway might work against you. If you're giving away something that's of your main product, that's probably not the best giveaway to do. But something similar. So one thing that we started doing was cross-promoting different types of businesses, that whether it's a calligrapher or someone that hand letters, or
Right.
some who else was it? Someone that did the custom prints, or the what do they
wooden
call it?
boxes or
No, the wooden
USB
boxes,
containers.
and then different products that are related to the industry.
And so
doing
you kind of do a
cross-promotional
code giveaway.
Yeah, so they can give away some of our products, and so I've been reaching out to different industries in order to, or not industries, but different types of products that are related to the same industry.
And the elephant in the room here, guys, I have to point to it, is the fact that we're going to do a cross promotion today.
Yes.
Because we've been talking at Tailwind about the importance of cross promotions and about the importance of contests, and we really just wanted to see if it would work for us. And
And it is a product that we use, so we are excited to actually get to endorse a product that we use and love, because it's been really helpful. We have a 9-month-old, and time has
It
become
does save time.
so valuable because we don't have a lot of free time anymore. So being able to actually schedule out our posts is huge.
And for our part, we're looking at our feed, and we're basically using we're basically have the need for templates. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that you guys make Instagram templates.
Right.
So
that
we
was-
thought, what a great matchup. If we gave away a year of Tailwind for Instagram on the Plus plan and $100 worth of you guys' shop credit, so people could buy whatever they want, but maybe some Instagram templates, you'd have a lot of what you'd need to kind of really do well here. So at the end of this Facebook Live, stick around because we'll explain to you how you can enter our Instagram contest to win that little package, that little bundle of goods. And if you already have Tailwind for Instagram, you can either give that to somebody else or you can use it for next year. Okay.
I noticed one other really interesting thing about this before we go.
Go.
So that post was obviously for one of our giveaways, but they also offered a coupon code, so only one person will win the free dress that they are giving away, but everyone who sees that post, that post creates more engagement than probably any other post within that week, or within that, maybe even within the month. But every single
1,200
person,
comments.
right?
Yeah.
So all of those people, only one will win, but everyone gets a chance to save 25% off their entire purchase.
That's a
So I think
great
that's a
one.
really good tool that people can use.
Why
I
didn't
haven't
we
actually
think
seen
of
before,
that?
yeah.
I just noticed that.
Melissa, would you swap over to the next tab there for me? Because I really like this video. If you just play that. So I'm imagining that's the photographer as well as the model, on set. And that's one of the strengths of using that model as well, right? Is that now she's part of that brand, they can start using her as a sort of a personality.
Yeah.
It's really cool, right?
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Looks like she's using the Boomerang app, or the Boomerang part of
yeah.
Instagram.
Right.
It's really fun.
Thomas, it looked like you were about to say something.
No, I think when I looked into their hashtags that they have another brand, the Bella Ella Kirby. So I wasn't sure if that was the photographer or if that might have been another model from the other shoot.
Okay.
That
That
I
makes
don't know.
sense.
I don't know. She seemed to look familiar. So
Yeah.
when I
Well,
was looking
that's
through the
super
feeds,
smart. Yeah. And how much more effective is that, right? If you have two brands, you're
Oh,
basically
yeah,
doing
and then they can
two
always
photo
cross-promote
shoots.
each other.
Wow. Okay. Any questions?
We have so many questions.
So many. Okay. Well, know
This will be
that
a busy-
We have so many answers, I hope.
know that
Hopefully.
after the Facebook Live, we will come back and we will answer, in person, any questions that we don't get a chance to answer here.
So Matthew asked a question that I'm curious about hearing your answer to, and it is obviously sharing your own content is ideal, but we've seen many accounts that only curate others' photos on their channel. What is your take on this for new/young businesses on Instagram?
I'll let you take this one.
I think it depends on the types of customers you're trying to attract. If you're an outdoors company and you're selling boots or jackets or wallets or whatever, handmade goods, then using photos that are in the wild and building that type of, how would you say, feeling of being out in the wild and in the woods, and if you're trying to attract that type of following for people that are in adventure mode, I guess.
So I think what I'm hearing there is like if you can't be where your audience
Right.
want to be all the time, then you can use that as a way to kind of get
right,
that content.
and I think as long as you're using it appropriately and asking the people to share, and a lot of people post things because they'd like it to be shared.
So it's interesting. I sort of feel like we at Tailwind have an interesting sort of perspective on this because we have a Pinterest tool, obviously that a lot of Pinterest is about sharing other people's content to gain an audience, so that when you share your own content, it kind of gets legs. And so we have a browser extension that allows you to really easily regram
Right.
Yeah.
from Instagram. So you could go to a hashtag and you could regram. In fact, I've done it myself, like 10 images in a minute, and push them into your feed, just like that. They're scheduled. So our audience, I think, is especially ready to kind of use other people's content. And one of the cool things about these 8 businesses is the last. Well, there's a number, but the last one especially is an entirely regrammed account. They regram one image per day from just anywhere that speaks perfectly to their audience, and it works. They've grown.
Yeah.
They've grown the most, actually, hundreds of %. So it can work. And then a lot of these we see, like the one we're about to talk about, DockATot, we see regrammed images working brilliantly, and we can kind of talk about why that might work. But My answer to that is absolutely. If you can regram images that really resonate, you can do it. But you should reach out, get permission, and you should absolutely mention that it's a regram in the description. Doesn't seem to impact the engagement rates. I see a lot of engagement on regrams across all of our members that use them.
I mean, even the last feed that we were looking at, we were talking about how much time it takes to set up the photo shoot, to find a model, to get their hair done and all that. So when you're regramming someone else's content, it shows people not only a variety of different ways and, you know, different people using their product, but it also saves so much time because you aren't physically setting up the photo shoot and, you know, editing the picture, or really you don't have to spend a ton of time to create all the content.
So, do we have any other questions that we want to deal with, or?
Let's keep
Okay.
moving.
All right, keep up
Did
that.
that answer? I think it answered.
Aye. So,
Sounded good to me.
so DocaTot, they grew by 27,356 Instagram followers in the last 3 months, and that is 18% increase. Okay, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're an interesting product. Basically, you dock your tot in one of these DocaTots.
We need one of those.
Very clever. Yes, and let's go straight actually to a piece of their regram content. Here we go. This is one of their regrams, just like we were talking about. Look how beautifully this encapsulates the brand. I think both in the picture, it's right on with their palette of colors that they're using, but also just the cozy, loving, nurturing environments that they basically kind of constantly push. And then the brand is right there, very subtle, and that's something they do great throughout, is the subtle branding in their posts. And then even the description, which is basically taken exactly from Erica Shaw, who grammed this originally, got about 500 likes, and here it is with 2,000, you know, on DocaTot. And that's why somebody would like you to regram, you know, because they reach a broader audience.
Yeah.
And then this, you know, she says, boys are off skiing, and me and this dreamboat are stuck at home, so he can sleep off a high temperature. Okay, it's very relatable. It's really right on with their audience, and I mean, it's a reflection of that life. And
they're sharing pictures of cute babies, so who doesn't want to look at cute babies? So I feel like that's a huge advantage that they have, or all of their models are adorable.
Right.
And they share other products that aren't necessarily, they're not competitors, but they're products that other people would be likely to purchase if they had a baby. So I think that also complements the brand. They have this Handmade with Love giveaway, and you see all these other vendors that are highlighted as well. So I think that if you can share, you know, the more that you help promote other businesses, the more that they would be likely to do the same.
Yeah, and look, 3,000 likes on that. You know, this is a good engagement, and again, we're seeing more contests. Other secrets to the success here? Anything else that we can pull out?
Well, I think for their branded hashtag, hashtag DocaTot.
Yeah.
There's a distinct difference between the content curation and taking and regramming. What do they call it? User-generated content. So, having their specific hashtag, they have probably was it like 12 or 13,000 posts.
There
so
were
other people,
a ton of
I mean, they have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, almost
so
13,000.
they're probably pulling some of the best ones from there and then regramming that stuff as user-generated content, which is I think different than the content curation. Whereas you can look up, if you're an adventure company and you look up hashtag adventure, well, you can see a ton of people, or hashtag explore, and you can see a ton of
You're
posts
totally
from all these
right. That's
people.
very different. This is user generated content.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think different companies do it, you know, well, I think it helps companies grow their own brand because they get people that want to share. And once you regram it, one thing that we've noticed is once we repost something that's been user generated content, it inspires somebody else. Oh, well, I can do that. And especially for our most of our customers are photographers, they place and they lay out their
we almost immediately will get an email after we share someone else's content. It might be a magazine designer, a pricing guide, and then someone else will say, oh, look, here's mine too. I wanted to share it with you. Feel free to share that with your followers, because they know that we'll help promote them, and yeah, it's a win-win situation for both sides, both companies.
And in the theoretical realm of marketing, the thing that we all should be striving to do is turn strangers into advocates. And I mean, how much more of an advocate can you be than taking photographs that might be perfect for marketing materials for a brand?
Exactly.
I mean, you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Good way to put it.
And they're not just showing product after product after product, they're also showing how people are using their products. So I think that's really big.
That's true, yeah. Actually, on the blog, I spoke to the folks at DockATAR, and we have some of their actual kind of comments and some of the things that they found successful. They pull out user-generated content pretty strongly there.
Yeah.
And so if you want to hear in their own words, go over to the blog and you can kind of see that.
Cool.
Okay, so a question related to the user-generated comment or content that just came in is, how do you feel about the original pic from XYZ in the text and not just on the pic? Do you need to ask permission first?
Right. Technically, yes, you should ask permission first. You should say, you should reach out to them, and basically you can just comment on the original image and say, hi, I'd like to use this image on my own feed, and then when you regram it, you should absolutely in the description mention them and give some kind of indication that this is a regram. A lot of people are just using the camera emoji for that nowadays, or you can say regram via or regram by.
We say I'll use like loving this shot from, or love this styled shot from so and so, and how they incorporate this into their marketing,
right? As
or
long
how
as
they
there's
attract their new
attribution.
clients. So.
And the worst that can happen, not the absolute worst, but more than likely, if something bad is going to happen, it's going to be them coming to you and saying, please take that down.
And let's just delete it off.
Exactly.
And another interesting question that Thomas Nurse, I think you'd be great to answer is, as a food blogger, how important is it to develop a template or style for photos?
So Thomas is an ex-restaurant industry guy.
Well, not that long ago, I guess a few years ago now. But yeah, I think that, well, as far as the template goes, as far as the style of food, or I guess it kind of depends on the imagery. Is that what they're talking about? Like how they should be displaying their food when they take pictures?
Is it important to be consistent in the display?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I can take this one.
Yeah, I think this would be better.
I think it's really important, regardless of the industry that you're in, whether you're a food blogger, whether you're selling a service or an actual product. The more consistency that you create, the more trust you're able to create with your followers, because they want to know that whenever they go to your feed, they expect to see a certain quality of images. If you're using text overlays, I think that it's always a good idea to just keep it simple, use 1 or 2 fonts, select colors that you think best represent your branding, and you can kind of pull those out within the actual photos that you're taking. If you're a food blogger, you're probably going to be using almost every color under the sun, but even the way that you're editing your photos, if they're really high contrast images or if they're more neutral, I think it's important to just find a certain theme and stick with that. And then the templates, they help you to be able to create things like text overlays, where you can create these call to actions and you can tell your viewers exactly what you want them to do. Head on over to the blog, check out our recent blog post, or if it's a giveaway, you can put text on top of it without having to worry about the design. If you're starting with a template, then it gives you a good starting point where you can just go in and customize the text and put in your business name, or just add a couple of lines of text, and just takes a couple of seconds.
Right. Yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about Gardens of the Sun, and we see a lot of successful Instagram folks who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, Etsy shop owners. They're crafters, they're makers, and this is our example for that, because she's grown exceptionally. It's a 68%, I think, growth of followers in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive. And she is a perfectionist. I just sense it. Her name's Mary. We spoke over email, and you can see how beautiful her jewelry is. But she lavishes almost just as much craft on the photography for this jewelry, which is incredibly consistent use of background, but by using focus, a depth of field where it's blurred in the distance and in the foreground, the same background feels different each time, because it's a different swathe of color, and I think that works really well for her. And then the comments that she uses, that she's labored over those as well, and then the engagement that she does in those posts, the commenting that she does back and forth, fantastic stuff. So what are you guys thinking about this account?
Visually speaking, you covered a lot of.
I kind of just went on a bit. Didn't I?
Yeah, she's more consistent than out of all the feeds that we had looked over. She's perfected the art of consistency. I don't know if she's a professional photographer as well, but she takes really good quality images, and I think that's of course important whenever you're posting to Instagram and you want to share your product. She places the products in the same place each time. The scale is pretty similar, so it also makes it easy to compare all the different pieces between one another. And if you look at the text, she spends a lot of time actually typing up the story that goes along with the jewelry.
Thomas, why don't you tell us about the story?
Oops, I stole it from him.
But I mean, in this specific post, she asked for user-generated product, basically. I mean, what do you feel about would be right for this sapphire? Because she gets done, towards the end, I'll melt the ring down and try and set her in 18 karat yellow or rose gold, thinking of a necklace.
Yeah, she's
what do you
asking,
feel would be right for this sapphire? And
what
she asks for that feedback. And
what kind of other products would you like to see?
Last night I was going through her feed, and I probably looked at 15, 20 posts and just read through the stories, because they were very interesting stories, like where they found. And I guess she's going to be starting a new heritage collection and then have all these different gems and stones from all over. So it's just a different. It was nice to see something different than
she's
you
telling
can
that
tell she
brand
puts
story.
a ton of time into her work.
Yeah, and she's telling that brand story in a way that engages people. And if you scroll down in the comments on this one, you can see she pops in. If you keep going down, at the end here, boom, she pops in and mentions somebody and basically says, I feel the same. I just see rings, but I don't feel access stones. And, she's chatting it through. She's talking shop with her customers.
And she asks them questions, which is that's a
it's
great thing that
respectful, it's available.
And she thanks them for their time when they're looking through her feed.
So we reached out to all of these folks, and she also mentioned. She spoke to me and said that's really the key for her. These are the people that she's built her business on. She does it for them, and she wants to engage them. And you can kind of see her full, in her own words, what she says again on the blog.
Right. And I think that's something that is easy to forget. We're all on Instagram with the same goal, which is to ultimately grow our following and get our product or our service seen from as many people as possible. Right. So if you're just posting over and over and over again without engaging in other people's content or on their feeds, then I think that you'll get a lot more value out of it if you take the time to go through other people's feeds and look through their pictures, point out something that is unique about it or something that you really love, because you expect that in return from other people to come to your feed and to comment and to shower you with compliments. But I think that you also have to remember to give as much as you receive on Instagram, if not more.
That's right. Yeah. So you mentioned the consistency, and I just want to point something out. Melissa, if you'll hover over any of those consistent ones, the images, right? 5,000, 3,000, 2,500, 1,500, 2,500, and then over to the hand. Oh, okay, 3,000. Scroll up to that new hand, 1,500. And to the ear, 1,700. I've noticed that interestingly, where she becomes inconsistent, which it's not that inconsistent that she occasionally shows things in lifestyle, her products on her hand, etc. But they tend to get a slightly lower engagement than.
What was different about this one? 4,200. That one.
Why
seems
is it
to
so
be,
strong?
Yeah, I just wanted to. There's so many different factors.
There are.
The time of day, the day of the week, the number of hashtags or the hashtags that you're using. So there's so many different things, and that's really where the work comes into play, is how much time you're spending and how much time value, or how much you're paying attention to those metrics, I guess, and analytics.
So one of the things obviously that Tailwind for Instagram does is with the smart schedule, it will predict basically when you'll get the most engagement and push you to schedule your posts for then, so they go out
Right.
at the times when people will be most likely to engage, which is super important because the Instagram algorithm is all about getting likes and comments fast, and you'll just reach more people when you do that. So
It was when I signed up for the Tailwind for Instagram, it started assigning times like 3:40, 4:40, 5 o'clock. I was like, that doesn't seem right. And when I look on the Business Insights, you can see that there's times and there's different the bars where you can read the
Metrics?
engagement, the engagement metrics, and it was right on. Like it is
Right.
on. Like it does look like it spikes up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because those are pulling in the information based off of user engagement or your followers' engagement times.
right, that's people at the end of the day. I'm done with this. I need a template. Boom. I think that's what's happening now.
Exactly.
Okay, so
She also, I noticed a little tidbit in her writing. It's really creative, and she personifies each of her pieces in the actual gems. So she speaks about this. She said she smiles at you, gives you a warm hug, and sends you on your way. I think
that's great.
Yeah, it makes
point.
a strong connection between the viewer and her products. You know, she treats them like her actual babies. You know,
Yes.
these are
Feel
things
the
that she's
care.
put so much time and love into, and it might be even hard for her to send them off when someone purchases one of her items. So I think that the people looking at that, they feel thankful, like, oh, I'm going to be the recipient of this beautiful
Right.
piece.
Yeah. Also, she on her website she actually pulls out the fact that you know Instagram is a big deal for her. It's the first thing that loads when you load her website, and you can see you know shop Instagram and you can shop the feed, which is a really nice touch
Yeah,
for somebody.
that's really neat.
And you can tell
There's a
Instagram's
couple
super
of apps
important to
that
her.
do that.
Right. Okay. So next we're going to talk about Christy Harrison, and she's an anti-diet dietitian. She basically talks a lot about the risks of dieting as a dietitian, and I'm curious, what do you guys make of this feed?
I'll start. Right off the bat, I noticed that she uses text on every single one of her posts, and she does that consistently. She's using the same fonts throughout her feed to, you know, create cohesiveness between all of her posts. She creates these overlays. There are plenty of apps that help you to do that, and that's why we create templates for Instagram. There are apps like Canva where you can put these inspirational quotes on top of your images, and she's like a cheerleader. Whenever you go to look at her feed, you read through some of her posts, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
Right.
Like she's adding value by creating a feeling along with, you know, these beautiful images. She's like, you go girl, get it today, you got this, you're good enough. Yeah, I think it's very uplifting. So if you remember to stay positive whenever you're posting, even if you're having a bad day, that's all that people are going to see that relates them to your company. Sometimes we forget that even all of our Instagram posts, that's a representation of who we are, and you know, that's just as much a part of our branding as something like a logo. So I think that, yeah, the fact that she's a counselor and she is a certified dietitian, you'd want to hire her because you're like, wow, she's so inspiring.
Right. She's one of the rare, you know, what would you say, contractors. I would suppose you would put her into kind of that bucket that we see in this data set. It seems quite difficult to do this, and so I really want to pick that out for people. There's probably a lot of people out there who are an independent consultant or you know, something like that, something like Christy,
Or a
realtor, and they're struggling, you know, on Instagram.
Right.
So what she's done here is she has a position, in my opinion, you know, and it's a position that a lot of people will resonate with, a lot of people, a lot of women, and a lot of the people who would be the perfect customers for her. And then she has this other thing, right? She has this podcast that she does regularly, and by and large, what she's doing is she's repurposing podcast content.
Took away one.
Why don't you carry on?
Tidbits.
Go for it.
We're taking his tidbits.
No, I know. You hit it. You got it just right, I think. And repurposing the content from past podcast guests and just her own insight into her own blog posts and just different quotes and authors and finding ways to incorporate that into her feed as motivational.
Yeah, a lot of the quotes were from her. I thought that was pretty cool that she's not just, you know, copying, pasting quotes that she finds online. She has actually she's created a lot of the content that she shares. Those are quotes from her, which I thought was really cool.
Right. She's very positive, and we noticed that. Well, she's negative about things that she thinks deserve to be negative about.
Right.
But that in itself is positive. But that's a unifying thing across all 8 of these. We have an optimistic, fun, positive, life-embracing attitude, sort of exuding from all of these different accounts. And I think that's probably holds true across the vast majority of Instagram. I think if you want to get out there and troll and be kind of depress people,
Terrible.
you might be on the Rant Network, or you just might not be on my Instagram. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure a key part of this is inspiring and helping people to aspire and motivate.
And I think an important part is to not get discouraged, I guess, if you're only at 1,000 followers or you only had 20 likes on that last photo, and everyone starts somewhere,
right.
and just being able to build that growth, and there's no one side. All of these different accounts, they all have a different formula that seems to kind of work for them, and that's not saying that they couldn't be more successful if they applied a different strategy, or vice versa. If they tried a different strategy, they wouldn't be as successful. So there's no one size fits all, or no one certain method for everybody that's going to work to their advantage, or speak to their audience. So
yeah, I think it has a lot to do with trial and error. If you aren't sure what will work for you, I think one of the best things you can do is just keep creating more and more content, and you'll discover that, or your followers will for you. They'll interact with the posts that they find to be inspiring or that they get something out of. So
that's absolutely right, and you should be monitoring the ones that really do well. And actually, Tailwind, in the dashboard, you can use the post inspector to basically sort your posts during any given time period for the most popular, and that's a really keen way to basically say, so for us on our own account, we've noticed that Insta Tips, which are our series of tips about Instagram on our own Instagram account that we share, they just do the best, and it makes sense, right? So let's do more like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we double the amount of Insta Tips we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that, we're going to be spending a lot more time looking at things like that.
Cool. Okay, so next up.
We are up to number 3. This is Runtastic, and they grew by 57,000 Instagram followers in just 3 months, and that's a 93% increase.
Boom. That's huge.
It's huge.
Good for them. So they have a whole suite of apps for fitness, and, they... you guys go ahead. What do you think? What's going on here?
Well, I've noticed that instead of just showing people running, they've also incorporated actual recipes. So they're inspiring people to be healthy, not just from using their own app, but by posting valuable content where someone can find a healthy recipe that, goes along with what they're trying to promote, a healthy lifestyle. And I've noticed it seems like they have almost a formula where they'll post so many pictures of people that are active, they're outdoors, and then they might share something with a text overlay. The text it's really easy to read, it's bold, they're using the same font, creating that consistency, even though, the images themselves might not be as consistent as some of the other accounts that we've looked at. I think they create that consistency in other ways, with the text and with the actual type of content that they're posting. So I thought that was really neat that they are sharing other valuable content as well as promoting their own brand.
Is there a Runtasty app also, or is it just the Runtastic?
There are a lot of different apps. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. I bet there is a Runtasty one.
Okay, so then obviously that can be in their own cross-promotional within its own company or within its own platform, I guess. But the user-generated content obviously is works well for them, and they can incorporate that and show actual results. It's not a testimonial. It is the testimonial. It's instead of words, it's basically their testimonial is the results.
Right.
And they're showing real people along with, some of these, I don't know if they're models or if those were actual photo shoots that they set up, but, you also see these before and after pictures of people that are more relatable, and they're real people that are using their app and they're benefiting from it. You see the results. You see this before and after side-by-side comparison. I think that goes to show how much value they're giving within their feed and why you should want to sign up for their app, because you see the actual results.
That's the best of user-generated content right there, in my opinion, is when people see, for one thing, you're having the very people who you're trying to target create content for you, and likely they're going to be incredible at that. They know themselves, they know their lives, and then also it stands as a testimonial. I use this, it works for me. Super powerful as well. One of the things I want to point out is the Nike-esque sort of branding here, and this is a perfect 9-grid to show that. The 3 images with the overlays, if we didn't have those 3 images with the overlays, I think it would feel considerably less consistent. I really feel they tie it together like string, sort of throughout the account. It shows the importance of, even if you're not consistent all the time, like having that vein of consistency.
Yeah,
you can
and
string
that's something that has been really valuable with us using Tailwind, is that when you're just posting randomly, it's harder to plan that out and just say, okay, how will this look in comparison with the other 8 photos that are, in the 9-grid. With Tailwind, you can actually plan it out and say, okay, well, every so many images, I want to share a text overlay or something that, has our brand colors, or that goes along with the next, sequential order of photos that they're sharing. So that's been a really cool way for us to plan things out and to, make a conscious decision that, okay, every so many images we want to do a color overlay or, a different color in the background.
Okay, so we're running out of time, so we're going to have to kind of rush through, but don't worry, your questions will get answered after, so keep them coming. We love seeing them. But our number 2 comes from Jennifer Priest, who grew by 8,537 Instagram followers in 3 months, which was a 96% increase.
And she's a DIY blogger. Also, she writes about recipes and crafts, travel, it looks like Target's feed or something, like I think considering that she's a blogger and she's working on this on her own, I'm impressed. What do you guys think?
Yeah, she shares her own content. So instead of the user-generated content that we've been talking about so much, these are her actual images, and she's creating all this content, which is so impressive that she has the time of day to make all these amazing recipes and DIY projects. And one of the first things that I noticed about her account was her actual profile picture. I think that really stands out. She looks so excited, and you can just tell that she's a fun, happy, person that you would want to go grab a coffee with. And then throughout her feed, I think I would expect, by looking at her profile picture, to see these bright colors and really saturated images, and she stays true to that throughout her feed. So I think her own branding is represented really well throughout all the pictures that she shares.
Yeah. What do you think?
I noticed that in her hashtags, they're very, very specific. So she is really kind of a testament to using the hashtags as a search engine. So when you look at the emoji cupcake, there's a one of the high roller coasters, and when you look up those hashtags, there aren't that many. There may be 300 or 500 different posts for those specific hashtags, and those will stand out. Like, those will stay in the feed, where people, if they were searching for that, looking for an emoji cupcake, then they'll be able to see her post, or those what was the name of these rocks over there,
You're spot on, because I reached out to Jennifer and she said her number 1 tip is hashtags. It's use 30 hashtags and select them carefully. You're right on. So I think there's something about the accessibility of this as well, but also there's something about the usefulness, and I think that keys into being a blogger.
Right.
One of the things I want to point out is the link up here, jenniferpriest.com/IG. A lot of the accounts that we see are using specific URLs, and I think that probably increases the click-through rate. Like, oh, there's something for me here beyond just the website, the usual website. But if you click through there to that. I just have this feeling about Jennifer that if you scroll down, there's a lot of squares, and if you go to her post, like that organizing one, click through there. She's obviously very organized and loves crafts, but look how many square images she's using. She's thinking Oh, well, that's a nice long pinnable one. That's not a square one. Okay, I should have chosen, but there's a square one, right? She's got a lot of square images throughout her posts. I think she's thinking Instagram. If not, I think she's thinking Instagram first. Honestly, I think that's kind of become her network of her initial network. That's just a hunch, but she's definitely gone kind of square.
And she's funny. If you click on, I think it was the free kisses photo. If you click on some of these and read her actual descriptions, she said, I put this on my desk and I only got kisses from my cat. It's like, that's funny,
right.
You know? I would want to follow someone like that because she has a good sense of humor.
Right. Okay.
Beach
So
ladies.
the final example that we have is iExplore. And it's kind of not typical from all the others, but I really wanted to pull it out because it's very interesting. This is the account that basically they gram once a day. They post to Instagram once a day, and every time it's a regrammed image, and it basically is along the lines of adventure and experiential travel, which is what their website is about. So I just want to point out that this is minimal investment, nothing original necessarily, other than descriptions and then just a schedule of lots of regrammed images that they know. They do one thing really well here, which is they curate really well for their audience. But what do you guys make of this?
On the hashtag at the very top, I think that they're trying to get their iExplore hashtag seen. So they're reaching out to those other accounts and sharing their photos in hopes that the next time that person goes on their adventure or outing, that they're going to use that iExplore
Building up
hashtag
a user-generated content
Right.
hashtag almost.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
the images themselves are incredible. If you look at their feed, these aren't your typical iPhone snaps on a whim. I mean, these look like they're taken with professional equipment. The quality is unbeatable. And what I found to be really interesting is that they'll post pictures of people in the feed, but you won't see their actual faces. They're always turned away from the camera. So I think that they're doing that so other people, it makes it really easy for them to picture themselves in all these far off, exotic lands that they're traveling to.
And there you guys
to
are.
all these places. Exactly. Oh, there we are.
There we are. There.
And look how, they're
beautiful
one thing that
blonde
they are
hair.
doing is they're across the globe, right? I think that they would be off-brand if they post 2 images of the same place, one after the other.
Yeah.
Because they're just about everywhere. The world is your oyster, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, any last words on iExplore?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's sort of straightforward in a way,
Yeah.
and refreshingly so.
I think the quality of the images speaks for itself.
I want to say one thing. 17,000 Instagram followers grown, and that's 225% increase.
Wow.
So massive growth for this account. So congrats, iExplore.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all very much for joining us. As you all know, Tailwind for Instagram has launched. You can go find that on tailwindapp.com. We're also going to share our Instagram content calendar, which we just pushed. It's that time of year. You should be thinking about all the things throughout the following year, when you should be gramming what for maximum engagement. And finally, we have, of course, this contest. If you want to win Tailwind for Instagram, a year of the Plus Plan, plus $100 worth of shop credit from Bittersweet, then all you got to do is go to, this is getting very meta now because this is exactly what we told you guys to do, it's a contest, is go to either of our Instagram feeds and like the post. You gotta follow both of our accounts, like the post, and mention a friend, as many friends as you like, and who you think will be interested in this offer and in us. And each one counts as a entry in the contest.
And Thomas is posting it right now,
Right.
so you can go to @Designed by Bittersweet or at Tailwind App.
Yep,
You
and
should see that.
I just witnessed you pull out your Tailwind app.
We
That's
did.
pretty awesome. Cool. So head on over there, and best of luck to you all. And thank you all very much. And thank you guys so
thank
much
you.
for coming in.
Yeah, this was our first live show ever, so this was.
Hopefully it wasn't too awkward.
You did awesome. You did
Thanks
great.
for watching, everybody.
Thank you all. Love you all very much.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
thanks to Tailwind.